Hi, this presentation is Observability Best Practices for reliably running apps on VMs. I'm Rahul Harpalani, but my friends call me Harp. I'm a product manager at Google Cloud focused on observability and specifically telemetry, which is the capturing of metrics and logs to enable ops management. I'm joined here by my partner, Ling. Ling, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure thing. Hey everyone, my name is Ling. I'm so glad to be here today. And I'm working very closely with Harp on the cloud ops instrumentation efforts, driving mainly from the technical side as the TO of the team. And you're gonna see me again at the demo time towards the end of this presentation. Harp, I'm gonna hand it back to you now.
Thanks, Ling. In this presentation, we'll be walking through observability within virtual machines. Recently, the 2021 report on accelerating the state of DevOps found that teams who excel at modern operational practices are 40% more likely to report greater software delivery and operational performance, and 80% more likely to report better business outcomes when they fully invest in managing operations at scale. So, as you can see, setting up logging and monitoring and making sure you're collecting the right telemetry data is the first important step of day two operations. This helps you run a reliable application and triangulate if, when, and where something went wrong. As a foreshadow, we're going to focus a lot on the value of our agent. There are many great resources for deeper dives into the Cloud Ops Suite for visualization, alerting, and other logging and monitoring capabilities. I recommend you go to the YouTube. I recommend you go to YouTube and search Stack Doctor to learn more. There is a lot of buzz around containers and Kubernetes, but many of us are still running on VMs and plan to do so for the foreseeable future, especially as more customers are doing a lift and shift migration from their on prem environments. We often hear, how can I set up my applications and VMs to run on the cloud while simultaneously learning all the features Google Cloud has to offer? Running apps reliably on VMs does not happen without good telemetry. Data about your applications, about your processes, about your systems are essential to delivering a high quality experience. I'm going to spend roughly the next 10 minutes walking through some of the challenges that I constantly hear about. I'll review the guiding principles we use in VM observability to address these challenges. Then I'll give an overview of the Ops Agent, the single client side solution for logging and monitoring. We'll then get a demo from Ling, where she'll walk through installing the Ops Agent using popular open source configuration tooling. And finally, we'll leave some time for questions. All right, let's jump in. As a product manager, some questions I often ask our users are you running VMs in more than one environment? Are you operating in hybrid or a multi cloud environment? What solutions are you using for monitoring versus logging? Do you have to leverage multiple client-side agents to capture telemetry? And what tools are you using to provision, install, configure, and manage your agents? These questions usually lead to one conclusion: complexity. Simply put, users have tons of VMs that need to be instrumented with one or more agents. These agents need to be managed with one or more tools, and even the thought of migration can be stress inducing. Let's quickly visualize this to put this problem in perspective. Often we think of only our own environments, and despite this downscoping, it still can be hectic. When we start to think about all the permutations I just discussed beyond our own workloads, and think about this issue at enterprise scale with tens of thousands of VMs, the problem of complexity becomes glaring. For this reason, the integration between Google Cloud and CloudOps is a game changer in reducing complexity, and why we at CloudOps believe having an integrated solution that meets you where you are is very important in helping you manage and reduce your ops burden. When we think about simplification, we think about the agent. For this reason, we embrace several principles in making our latest agent, the Ops Agent, industry leading in its user-friendly focus. Fewer agents. This starts right here at Google Cloud. Up until a couple of months ago, we had two agents, one for logging and one for monitoring. We've invested heavily in a single unified agent to reduce the number of agents and complexity our users must manage. Number two, the ability to manage our agents at scale by investing in solutions to easily support the most popular config management tools that most of our users are already leveraging. Simple configuration. The Ops agent only has one configuration file, making it simple to manage both logging and monitoring. Finally, third-party application support. Here at CloudOps, we're making the move from monitoring the platform to also monitoring popular applications. We don't think that requiring you to install extra agents or extra software to capture this data is something that makes sense or is a good use of your time. So we're building this capability into the Ops agent. One thing that's not on the slide and is crucial to our strategy is our investment in open source. We know the overall story to telemetry is not cutting it for all operations users, and that includes our own users as well as everyone else's. Customers are simply juggling too many agents, too many protocols, and too many ways to capture telemetry. In this vein, we decided to go beyond a new agent and stake out a path forward that would make capturing telemetry easier for all of our users. And we are doing this by committing and supporting open observability standards. The Ops agent is built to support the future of application and system telemetry, which is being democratized through open source. We've incorporated two important open source technologies into the Ops agent. First, FluentBit. FluentBit is an open source log processor and forwarder which allows you to collect logs with incredibly high throughput and resource efficiency. The second technology is OpenTelemetry. This is a CNCF supported, open source, and vendor neutral technology and is at the forefront of unifying operations. It has garnered the support of many vendors in the ops space, and the Cloud Ops agent emphasizes our belief that this technology will lead to interoperability within the ops community. We've worked very close with the open telemetry community, and through this effort, much of which is frontier territory, we are helping to guide the greater telemetry community to a place that is optimized for you, the user. I mentioned these topics earlier, but I wanted to specifically call out how we are meeting our users where they are. What I hear from customers all the time is that they are overwhelmed with all of the tools they have to manage and learn to use. That's why we made sure that the Ops agent could be managed by the open source configuration and provisioning tools that you're already using, such as Terraform, Ansible, Puppet, and Chef. And of course, our in-house option, VM Manager. In the demo, which Ling will run shortly, you will see the installation of the Ops agent handled by Ansible. Additionally, I mentioned the support for third-party applications. Currently, we support Nginx and JVM, but we have an aggressive rollout schedule for the rest of this year to include Apache, MySQL, Redis, and many more. In 2022, we're going to increase the support by 50 additional third-party applications directly built into the Ops agent. Finally, I want to review our integration with GCP. While the Ops agent is built on OpenTelemetry and FluentBit for the efficient collection of telemetry, it is purpose-built to support our own operations suite, which includes cloud monitoring and logging. With the operations suite, we want you to have reliability without sacrificing agility. As you'll see in the demo, data from cloud logging and cloud monitoring is made available directly in context in Google Compute Engine, and many other GCP services have similar integrations. Time for the demo. Ling, are you ready?
Ready for a demo? So in this demo, we're going to show you how to use the Google Cloud Ops Agent Ansible role to install the Ops Agent on a fleet of VMs and then configure the Ops Agent to monitor Nginx applications. And at the end of the demo, we're gonna go to the console UI. So that way we can show you how to pull the Nginx dashboard template and create a real dashboard out of it. So other details of this tutorial can be found on our public documentation site as well, just so you can check it out later. Now let's get started. In this demo environment, I have already finished installing some basic setups so that those parts are tedious and not fun to watch. So I installed Ansible, I installed the Google Cloud Ops Agent role. I set up a service account for the project, download the service account key to my workstation, and set up an environment variable for it. I also finished setting up my local SSH key, which is what Ansible will be using to talk to the VMs. So let's go to the actual fun stuff. First, let's take a look at the Ansible inventory we have. So here we are using a plugin called GCP Compute to help manage the GCE VMs. This plugin uses the service account to authenticate, and it will list all the VMs in the Ling-sandbox project, and it will also show the public IP of those VMs, and Ansible will later use these addresses to SSH into those VMs. Before we kick off this playbook, let's first ensure that Ansible can actually successfully talk to those VMs we are targeting at. So we can use Ansible to quickly ping them to make sure the connection is alive. Cool. Great, the connections looks okay. So now let's dive a little bit into the actual Ansible playbook. Actually, let me double check that the installation of the Ansible role is successful. Yeah, I already installed this before, so it's already installed as it shows. The example playbook we are using today looks like this. Looks pretty simple, right? We are basically asking Ansible to install the latest version of Ops Agent with a custom configuration file on all the hosts that we have in the inventory. Now you might wonder, what is in that Ops Agent config YAML? Well, that's a good question. Basically, our Ops Agent by default collects some system metrics and logs. However, we can customize it to collect more logs and metrics from third-party applications. And in this example, we are collecting metrics and logs from Nginx. On the metrics side, I have already pre-installed Nginx on those VMs, and the metrics are exposed via the stub status module. So the key in this configuration part is to make sure that the Ops Agent knows basically which URL it should be using to talk to the stub status module of the Nginx application to collect the metrics. And then on the logging side, we collect both Nginx access logs and Nginx error logs. Okay, let's quit this, and now it's the exciting part. Let's actually execute the playbook. So that's the start of the playbook execution. It's gonna take a few minutes. Well, actually, I have executed this playbook already, so this should return just okay. And while it's running, we can go to the console UI and take a look at the actual dashboard. So you can reach this page via the monitoring dashboards, and the sample library has our Nginx template already. So if you click on this, You can go to this Nginx overview and preview what the dashboard looks like. Here we're gonna skip that and just import this sample dashboard. So it will automatically create a dashboard for you. It has a few metrics that's tracking already, and you can show that it's tracking the few VMs we created before, and it shows the total requests coming to the Nginx server. It shows the current connections. It also shows the history of the connections. And of course, you can also add this dashboard or add more chart to this dashboard, because Nginx does ingest more than just these three metrics. On the other side, we mentioned before that Ops agent also collects some system metrics, right? So the most interesting one might be the processes metrics. If we go to the dashboard list, there is GCP dashboard, and one of them says VM instances. If we go to this page, it shows you a few tabs of different property of the VMs. Like you can see CPU metrics, memory metrics, and most excitingly, you can see processes metrics. It will tell you the top processes by memory, the top processes by CPU, so that way you can easily tell what is using all the resources on the VM and what could potentially go wrong. That's the dashboard part. Now let's go back to see if that execution of playbook, okay, it looks great. The execution of the playbook was successful, and that's actually the end of this demo. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ling, for that awesome demo. As a reminder to those of you tuning in, please use the question and answer forum, which is embedded in this video page. I want to take a minute to show you other interesting presentations in the operations space that are happening at Next this week. We're launching a preview of fully managed Prometheus service called Managed Service for Prometheus. If you're running Kubernetes, chances are that you're very familiar with Prometheus and how difficult it can be to manage. This new service takes away the pain of Prometheus at scale. We are also launching a preview of a service that combines logs data with the power and performance of BigQuery. You can learn more about log analytics, what it is, and the use cases in that presentation. Finally, the integrated cloud ops story, where we talk about how ops tools can be used to make your development team and the apps they run more effective. I'd like to thank Ling for the demo and thank our viewers for tuning in.